how do you counter price objections without sounding, like you're being defensive or without being needy and whiny and just plain weird? I'm going to give you 3 rationalizations that will work to counter any price objection. But first, you need to understand where the price objection is coming from. First thing, the rationalizations that I'm going to give you, they are going to work in any situation. But you need to understand why your buyer needs that rationalization. Now, first of all, if the price objection is the only thing left in that sales argument, then know this, congratulations, you have sold them to your product emotionally. So they're sold on to you or to your product from their hearts. But they need these rationalizations in order to logically convince themselves that this is the right solution. This is the right price to pay for the solution. And they also need these rationalizations to convince their bosses or their spouses or whoever is funding, if there is a funding, external funding involved, whoever is funding their investment or their purchase. So make sure you have these 3 rationalizations in your arsenal, whether you're selling in person, you're selling over phone, you're selling in a webinar, you're selling in a video, any situation. Because if you don't address them, what will happen is your product, they'll be sold onto your product emotionally, but because they don't have logic to rationalize it, they will not be able to, rationalize it to themselves or to their bosses or their spouses or whoever. So what are these 3 rationalizations? Rationalization number 1, when you talk about your product, compare it to the cost of similar products, right? That's the most common thing that most people do, right? They would compare, let's just say you have an online course, right? You have an online course on how to grow a garden from scratch. You will compare it to other online courses on how to grow a garden from scratch. And that's really where most people stop their rationalizations. That's where most people stop their kind of counter argument on price objection. So that's the first rationalization. Yes, you need to address how your online course on growing a garden is different from other online courses on growing a garden. Great, that's the first rationalization. But then there is another rationalization, number 2, which is where you compare your product to other alternatives. So it's not a similar product. You're not comparing your online course on how to grow a garden to another online course on how to grow a garden. Instead, you are comparing it to hiring a full-time or part-time gardener. Right? A great example of that is something that I have. It's a copy generating software that is called 60-second copy generator, and it generates super persuasive, high converting copy in 60 seconds or less. So you just answer a bunch of questions and they get the copy ready. Now, since there is no alternative, there are no other copy softwares like this, I don't do the first rationalization, but I always do the second rationalization where I compare the copy generator to hiring a full-time copy full-time copywriter, or having someone do your copy for you, or having someone on your team, having a full-time copywriter on your team, or outsourcing your copy. And when I do those price comparisons, the difference is so obvious because they're probably going to spend $20,000, $30,000 in a course of a year to generate copy if they hire a copywriter, versus if they have this copy generator that costs less than $1,000, they have all of their copy needs fulfilled forever, right? So that's the second rationalization. The third rationalization is where you establish the cost of saying no, right? What happens when they say no? Because no is always an option. We don't really understand it. We think, oh, people are, they're here, they're going to either buy from us or buy from someone else. But it's also possible for them to say no, right? So it's your job to also add the third rationalization, which is the cost of saying no. So yes, taking the same example of a copy generator, they can have the copy generator, they can have a course on copy generator, they can hire a copywriter, or they can choose not to do anything else. And then what happens? If they say no to everything, what happens? They don't have great copy. That means they won't be able to sell their products. That means that the business will continue to suffer, and they will continue to suffer, which means they will not be able to focus on your business, and so on and so forth. So next time when you're hit with the price objection, or you're worried whether people will have a price objection, make sure you include all these 3 price rationalizations in your pitch. Now, the best thing to do that is to do it before they even ask for it. So make sure you include it in your pitch or on your webinar or when you're talking or selling from the stage, because the best way to convince or persuade someone is to enter the conversation that's going on in their heads. And this is the exact conversation going on in their heads. I hope you enjoyed this video, which I'm sure you did. Please go ahead and tag a friend or share this video if you liked it. And I will see you soon on the internet. Thank you and bye-bye.